Knowing how to turn strategy into results is key in making your firm a success, and in this session you will learn a straightforward process which can assure implementation success. But before we get into this, I would like to talk about why is implementing strategy so hard. The reason that we don't get plans implemented is not because we're dumb or we don't know what to do. We're very bright and we know exactly what has to be done. The trouble is, we have to do the important things of moving our firm forward, whilst also completing our day job. And what this does is create conflict between our daily activities and these important strategies. Conflict when the day job wins out. There is another element which makes implementation hard, and that is making change requires a change in behaviour, and that is not easy. If it was, you would not be watching this session. Change requires discipline and it requires celebration. To win at change is to win the game. Business is a game, not a battle. This session will show you how to win the game. We'll be talking about goals so that you can set goals that they are achievable. Then we'll go through a process that identifies priorities and problems so that we can focus on the most important. Then we'll make it real to those involved so that momentum is built. And then we'll see how to make it work so that your strategy does turn into results. So let's start. Setting our goals is not hard. We know what we want to do. We want to increase profit or improve our processes. We want to make better use of technology and maybe create new services. We know what we want. The trick is to set it out clearly. We want something simple and clear. And this is not either. This is the goals that were set out by NASA in 1958. This took much time and effort and has been carefully crafted, but it is a series of tasks. It is not a goal. So we don't want this. Instead, we want this. This statement was made by John F. Kennedy at the beginning of the 60s. He said that, "I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth." This simple sentence enabled man to lift off in Apollo 11 in July 16, 1969. It made a difference to the organisation because it was time limited. Everyone knew that it had to be achieved by the end of the decade. It had a clear endpoint, that is, the moon. Its parameters were also known. Not only did the men have to get to the moon, but they had to get back safely. And it was achievable. It was the moon. It wasn't Saturn, it wasn't Mars. It was somewhere where the scientists and engineers believed that we could go. John F. Kennedy also made NASA strictly accountable. They would have been publicly embarrassed had they not achieved the goal. And importantly, JFK gave them sufficient resources to enable them to do it. This goal, its clarity, its structure, what do you think that this did to the motivation of the people at NASA? Yep, it went sky high. Who doesn't want to be part of a winning team? Who doesn't want to beat the odds? We all do. Having big goals which have support, that is the best motivator of all. If we want to have engaged staff, we help them win. But the way we do this, we can shoot ourselves in the foot. We want to do many things. We are ambitious, we've got our jobs because of the fact that we think big and we want to do many things. And what this means is we believe that the more we attempt, the more we'll be able to achieve. Now that's right, isn't it? Nope, it's wrong. The reason it's wrong is because of the law of diminishing returns, which says that if you've got 1 to 3 goals, you will complete 1 to 3 to a level of excellence. If you've got 4 to 10 goals, you'll complete 1 to 2 to a level of excellence. If you've got more than 10 goals, well, it's not likely that you're going to be able to complete any. So, having a simple goal and being focused is important. The goal is important, but also is the journey though. We've got to know where we're starting off from and knowing where we're going to get to. If we know that, then we can close the gap. Only when we know both now and where can we work out how we're going to do it. And that is what we're doing when we're implementing strategy. What we're trying to do is just trying to close the gap, but we're doing it by having clarity. We're doing it by knowing where are we now and where we're going to get to. Now these two boxes show that. They show on the left that it's December 2014 and on the right it's December 2017. Like most firms, this firm, which is going to be the example from now on, has got an idea of what it wants its sales to be. Now they want it to be 8 million. It could be 80 million, but we'll use 8 for this example. And they want to have profit of 20% by December 2017. And they want to have staff of 30. Then they've got some non-financial goals as well. Now we could be aiming to have strategy for sales of 8 million, or if we look at where we are now, we can see that now we have the effort being focused so that we can make $5 million worth of sales. So all we've got to change, or all we've got to focus on, is that gap. We've got to do something different so that we can add another $3 million to the sales value. Similarly, we've got profit of 10% or 500,000, and we want to take it up to profit of 20% or 1.6 million. We just have to have strategies that will close the gap. That is what we're doing when we're doing strategy implementation. We're making clarity and closing the gap. But to be able to do this well, we need a process. And what we're going to be looking at today is focusing on one strategy, and then we're going to use the process so that at the end, we're going to be able to ensure that our implementation works. We're going to start off by fleshing out the ideas, and we're going to use a mind map to do that. We're then going to select the best idea by using Pareto analysis. We're then going to identify the tasks that we actually have to do by using a tool called the force field. And then we're going to create measures so that we can build the momentum to get to our goals. We need to control all of this though, and so we're going to report it in a one-page plan. So let's start. Let's firstly take a picture, and this picture is our strategic plan for our period for the next 3 years. This is a very simplified document. You can see that on the left and on the right is the information that we looked at earlier. December 2014, where we had sales of 5 million. December 2017, where we've got sales of 8 million. What's very important though is what is in the centre. It is the competitive advantage. I make sure that all of my clients have got their one-page plans where clearly in the centre is the competitive advantage, because everything we should be doing should be strengthening that advantage. Anyway, when we did the strategic plan, and we're not doing one of those today, when we did it, we worked out that there are 3 key strategies we're going to be focusing on. They're down the bottom, and they are marketing, people, finance and admin. Now, with marketing, we have got further objectives and we've got criteria, as we have with the other strategies. You can see under marketing, we have got an objective, which is improving marketing and sales of services. And we've also got criteria, and here we're focusing on clients. And our criteria is that all our new clients are going to meet the preferred customer profile, and that no new client will have more than 5% of revenue. Because if they do, that means our revenue is going to have to increase. Then we've got other criteria. Now, the reason that we've got this objective and the criteria is that it makes the picture clearer, and we want to have a very clear picture. So these objectives and criteria help us to know what December 2017 is going to look like. But now that we've taken the picture, now we have to actually make it work. And so the first step is to cascade the plan. And we are here looking at the sales team. So we're cascading the plan down into the sales team. And you can see that in December 2014, we've got sales of 400,000 a month. We've had sales for the year of 5 million. So 400,000 a month allows for the fact we've got a couple of holidays. Then we have a look at where we're going to go, and here we've chosen January 2015, in 30 days' time. Or we could have chosen 90 days. We don't want to go any further than that, because after every 3 months we need to look at where we're at. But anyway, we've got our goals for January 2015. Hang on. The sales there are 400,000 as well. Aren't we meant to be increasing sales? Well, when you consider that January has actually got a lot of holidays and we've got to make goals that are achievable, sales of 400,000 is actually a really good stretch target. Now on this document as well, you can see we've got measures, and if we look down at the boxes below, we've got strategy objective. We're looking at sales here, and we've got the criteria that is relevant from the strategic plan repeated down here. Then we've got actions. Now those actions we're going to establish over the next few steps. What we've also got is who is accountable for making sure that these actions are completed. And we've got when they have to be completed by. So the next few steps are going to give us the measures, they're going to give us the actions. So let's get into it. First step, let's do some mind mapping. Let's go through and say, okay, if we're going to be improving sales, what are the things we should think about? And what we've done here, in clockwise order, is we've worked out that sales training, sales people, management, service quality, point of sales material, brand name, and so on will each affect sales. So we have defined the issue we're looking at, which is sales. Then we have brainstormed the elements. But then we want to look into these elements in more detail. And if we see sales people, which is up on the right side, we can see that we've said, okay, well, let's think about our salespeople. What do we want to focus on? Okay, ethics, presentation. And so we've brainstormed the elements and we've added the branches. But we've got a lot of material here, and as we know, we can't focus on too many things at one time. So we need to actually break them down. We need to sort out the vital few from the trivial many. The Pareto analysis is a tool that we use now. It is also called the 80-20 rule. This means that 80% of results come from 20% of causes. Like 80% of sales come from 20% of staff. Or 80% of problems come from 20% of clients. So we are focusing on the vital few. We can also ask ourselves the question, if we keep everything else the same, what is best? What should we focus on? Well, what I've done is I've selected 2 elements, and this is service quality and staff recruitment. However, I could have selected 3, or I could have just chosen 1. The Pareto analysis, though, what it does is not tell us what to do. It says, what are the areas we should focus on? And we're doing service quality and staff recruitment. But we need to work out what tasks. So let's go into that. And working out the tasks that we will actually perform, we use a tool called the force field. And you can see in the force field that we've got 2 upright bars. We've got in red, a positive. We've got in blue, negative, and in between we've got the area we're focusing on, which is service quality. How the force field works is it says, when we're looking at positive forces, it is saying, what are the things that we are doing in the business now, or we could bring into the business, which will positively affect our service quality. And we need to also think about what are we doing in the business now, or external to the business, that could negatively affect our service quality. We need to look at both. When we do so, how we do use this tool is we select 5 elements on each side. So here, for the positive, I have selected good products, quality sales staff. I've also selected product range, product brochure, and contact program. So now we have got those forces within the organisation which we think that if we improve will positively affect our service quality. But this doesn't give us the actions. The next step is to say, how can we strengthen the things we've got here? So We pick 3 things for each which are going to strengthen them. So with good products, to strengthen products, we say, let's have products which will solve customer problems, where we've got attention to quality and where we keep our staff informed. For quality sales staff, if we have team activities and targets, if we have a reward system, if they exceed expectations, then the quality of our sales staff will improve. With our product range, if we keep in front of the market, if we have more evaluation of customer needs, if we have a secret shopping tool, that will improve it. And we do the same for product brochure and contact program. By doing this, we can strengthen our service quality. But as I said, we've also got to look at what can stop us. So we do the same things again. We select 5 items. And here we've got quality of sales staff, we've got poor sales admin, we've got lack of quality customers, we've got lack of individual service, and we've got limited rewards. Hang on. Number 6, quality of sales staff, is the same as number 2, quality of sales staff. So we've got the same issue on the positive and negative. Well, if you think about it logically, that is quite reasonable, isn't it? That we can have something that can bring our service quality down, which is something if we improve it, it will improve our service quality. So when we're using a force field, it is quite often that we'll find elements on the positive and on the negative as well. So now that we've got our 5 items on our negative, we have to do the same as what we did on our positive. And that is to find 3 things which will, in this instance, reduce the negative impact. So looking at quality of sales staff, what do? Well, we can train them to a higher level. We can give them retention benefits. We can give them follow-up and feedback. With poor sales admin, we can have standard operating procedures. We can streamline the process. We can have customer service training. And we pick up another 3 for lack of quality customers, pick up another 3 for lack of individual service, pick up another 3 for limited rewards. Now we've got all of these actions that we can take, but we can't take all of them, can we? We can only select a few. So what we do is we go through and we choose between 1 and 3 key actions to address a key issue. And here I've selected more evaluation of customer needs, to update the customer service strategy, and to train sales staff to a higher level. You can see that each one of these starts with an action word, because that's what they are. They're actions. And you'll recall from our cascaded 1-page plan that these were in the centre of that plan. But now we've got tasks. Tasks without momentum will not produce results. So let's get some momentum. And how we can do this is with measures. There are 2 types of measures. There are lead measures and there are lag measures. Lead measures are predictive. They measure something that will lead to a goal. They're also influenceable. That means they can be influenced by a responsible person or team. An example of a lead measure, that is something that will lead to a goal, is number of calls. If we're thinking about a simple sales process, we can think that if we make a call, that can result in a meeting that can result in a proposal can result in a sale. So number of calls can lead to a sale, therefore they're a lead measure. A lag measures are an end point. They measure the result. They measure the number of calls has resulted in sales. Let's look at an example. Something that we all think about is managing our weight. Now we can do this by wrapping a tape measure around our tummy or by standing on the scales. That will help us lose weight, won't it? Don't think so. I think that that's a lag measure. I think that all that is doing is measuring the weight lost. It's not helping us to be able to lose weight. We know that to lose weight, what we have to do is reduce calories or increase exercise, because these two will lead to weight loss. However, like every lead measure, these are not as easy as measuring a lag measure. If we think about it, to be able to measure calories, we've got to count them. To do exercise, we've got to do the same. It's not as easy as just measuring the lag. That is the thing about lead measures. Measurement is hard. And because we don't like measuring them, we don't do it. And motivation drifts and strategies don't get implemented. Lag measures are important. This is a selection of that strategic plan we looked at before. You can see here we've got measures at year 1, year 2, year 3. Those benchmarks are key because if we can hit these scores using the strategies we've got, then it's likely that we'll get to where we want to be in December 2017. So lag measures are important. Knowing what our sales were for the year 1 being 5.5, year 2 being 7, year 3 being 8, knowing what it is tells us how far along we are to get to our goal. Profit is also important. We measure that because that's a key element on our goal. Cash balances we can measure. On-time delivery we can measure. These are lag measures. But what we want is we need to have lead measures because lead measures lead to the goal. They can help us move and get our momentum up and achieve that goal. They are influenceable. So here you can see a simple sales process. Which one of these elements in this process should we take? Well, we can take the main stages or activities. Here I've actually selected meetings or proposal. But is that the only way that we should select a lead measure? No, we can select in a whole series of ways. We can simply copy. What do others do? We can have a look at the process and take an element out of that. We can have a look at activities which will have the greatest impact on the lag measure or the goal. We can select a measure from any of these or something else. How do we know if it's a good measure? We try it out and see. What you know is that what gets measured gets done. So we do need to try it because we need to see what the impact of that lead measure is when we're focusing on it. What is that impact on the rest of the organisation as well? So we need to try it. We need to see. And then we need to put it somewhere. So here we've come back to our one-page plan, and you can see that our measures are now placed in prime space under our goal in January 2015. As we know, goals have to be achievable, so there is nothing in week 1. But we've got them in week 2, week 3, and week 4. That is what we're aiming to. You will see that in the middle of the one-page plan, we've got the actions. So we were able to establish those actions by mind mapping, taking the issue and fleshing it out, focusing in on one particular issue by using a Pareto, the 80-20 rule, and then using a force field to go through and identify those actions which, if we kept everything else the same, would make the greatest difference on our behaviour so that we can achieve the goal. So with lead and lag measures, what do? Together they enable fast response. Lead measures highlight problems before they get out of hand. They can show us when problems are arising. They can show us when opportunities are coming out. Recording lead and lag indicators shows what works and what doesn't. We can tweak what we're doing. By having them running together, the lead and the lag, we can see what of our activities are actually producing results. Having both together creates an agility that is not possible when all we're doing is looking at lag measures. We can now see cause and effect. It's all great having something on a one-page plan. It's all great knowing what the measures are. It's all great knowing what the actions are. But really, is it going to happen? We need to make it real. We need to build motivation. If we can't make it real, it will just be a document that sits on somebody's desk to gather dust. Now, we don't want that, do we? We want to actually get our strategies in place. So we need to have a scoreboard. Like any game, where is the fun without a scoreboard? Have you ever been at a game when a scoreboard is out? I went to a cricket game once in London a couple of years ago, and the scoreboard failed halfway through. After a while, the applause lessened, as people did not know who was winning, or by how much. And there seemed to have been a bit of a change in the enthusiasm of the team as well. They didn't know who was winning. By having the scoreboard up there, it seemed to drive the enthusiasm of the team and also those in the audience. We know that the harder the game and the closer the scores, the more effort that is needed. And if we think about Australian rules football, the harder the game, the closer the scores, the greater the applause, the greater the effort. It's the same in business. Recording the results keeps the team motivated, keeps them on track. By having a scoreboard, you're able to get natural competition to take over. And that competition can be against others. Maybe you have other teams in the organisation, or maybe it's simply against yourself. If you're a solopreneur, what's better than having natural competition against yourself? Regardless of whether it's against others or against yourself, it needs to be visible. The measures have to be visible if it's to be a game. And we need to have both lead and lag indicators so that we can see cause and effect. Having it obvious, having it in pride of place, and making it fun will make it more enjoyable. But the thing is that we have to keep it simple, very, very simple, because we're looking for cause and effect. But it's great having a scoreboard, it's great having a one-page plan. How are we going to change behaviour? Well, to do that, we have meetings, and it's the meetings that will make it work. I would like to go back now to the Weight Watcher example. If we actually think of the organisation Weight Watchers, what did they do? They used to come up with weekly meetings. And in those meetings, the people who were trying to lose weight would come in and they would tell everybody else how they've gone in the week. And then they'd say what they're going to do for the week following. And if they needed some help, they would ask for it. And that is the meetings that we need to put in place as well. We need to have a meeting that is regular. Now, because generally we work in a week or a month, we want to have nothing less than a week, and it has to be the same time and the same day. And it's got to be brief. To make it successful, no other matters should be discussed because it's only brief. And everyone must attend, no excuses. If people are out, well, then they can Skype in, they can phone in, but they must attend. The structure of the meeting is consistent. First element, report on the achievements. Find out how everyone is going. Also, let's see what the scoreboard is doing. Then everyone must commit to the next 1 or 2 items. They then ask for help if they need it. That is the essence of the meeting. Now you as a leader must combine tough love and patience. What you must do is be able to say when people are not achieving, because there'll be times when people don't. When people are not achieving, you'll say, I believe you can do it. So what are you going to commit to next week? And give them the help. And be aware that people take a while to settle in on this. But if you do this, if you craft the meeting carefully, results will occur. And it will occur also If, because of the fact that people want to be part of something bigger than themselves, you're going to show the scoreboard. You're going to be showing them how the commitment that they're making is helping the firm move forward. But they are going to have, by committing, freedom to find their way of getting the goals that you need. You'll be giving the guidance. You'll be saying, these are the measures that we need to meet. And you'll be saying, now it's your turn to tell me what you're going to commit to achieve that. They will become engaged because they will have freedom. And they'll become engaged because you will be a leader who knows that you have to be patient. You know that it takes a while for people to grow into accountability. You know that it's a value that is often said but not practiced. And so you have to practice tough love. You want them to be the best. You want to be the best yourself. Therefore, you need to be responsible and bring out the best in those around you. So, if we want to be able to convert strategy into results, we can do it. It's not easy, but it is straightforward. You have to have specific goals. You can only focus on 1 to 3 items at a time. You use a process. We looked here at mind mapping to flesh out the issues, Pareto to find the most important elements on which to focus, force field to develop the tasks, measures because that is what gives us motivation, and we control it in a 1-page plan. But to actually make it work, we have to make it fun. We create a scoreboard and have regular meetings, and this way we can change behaviour, and in that way we can conquer one goal and start on the next. This is what you can do. You can win. You can turn your strategy into results.